Hi, this is Darren at MagicMix Studio, and this is a first in a series of videos mixing a song from beginning to end. And today we're going to just focus on getting the tracks loaded up and getting it organized. So this is a song by a band called Tair, T-A-I-R, and they're a band from Florida. Really good, you should check them out. We're going to do a song called Butterflies. So I've downloaded the files here, and they're sitting in my downloads folder. I'm going to start up ProTools and create a new session. (24-bit, 44.1). All right, now we're going to load the audio files. So I'm going to go to my downloads folder and basically select everything here. And I'm going to copy these to my location. If you just add, then it's referencing where the files are located, and since they're in my downloads folder, I want to actually copy them into the ProTools session so I can delete them from my downloads folder. So these by default are going into the audio files folder in the session. I'm going to create new tracks for each sound file. Okay, so that's got the song loaded in. Now basically I got to figure out what I'm dealing with, what all the tracks are, get them in an order that I can deal with and understand, get them named the way I can understand, and then I'll decide how I'm going to lay them out on the board. So the first thing I need to do now is basically set up my the tracks for playback and being able to hear through the board and everything. So I'm going to import a couple of tracks I use for that from a previous session. So I'll grab this playback and mix tracks. So basically what this is doing is it's routing all of the tracks from the board back into ProTools so I can record exactly what I'm hearing. So this will be the mix coming back from the board, and I'm putting it on input so I'm hearing what's coming back from the board. This is coming through my Burl converters and sending to a 2-bus bus, which is then coming back into this playback so I can hear this, and this is again going to the Burl output, which is coming back into the board so I can hear it. So let's see if that worked. Alright, so now we got all these tracks just kind of in random order. I gotta figure out what's what. I like to put the drums first. I'm gonna just grab all these tracks that are all drums. Once those are down in the mix a little bit, I hear everything's obviously mono to start with right now. up all these tracks and everything later on, but that's got them all renamed. Now I'm just going to reorder them a little bit more. I like kick snare, toms, so tom 1 to 3, but I actually like them top to bottom, so like that. Overheads, hi-hat, shaker, tambourine, sounds good. Then bass, and then I'm going to want my main rhythm guitars next. And that delay guitars go through the whole song. We might play with those, mute them in places and stuff like that. And then acoustic, and then the solo, and then we got our vocals in the right order, so now we're good. So now I gotta decide how to lay this out on the board. So if I switch over to mixer view, I can get a kind of a better idea of how many tracks we're dealing with. One way to do this is just auto assign them to in order, starting with 1 mono, and that's a nifty little trick. It's basically you're setting the output to the lowest number with all your tracks selected, and you hold down everything, shift option command. I guess that's not everything. Shift option command, and it basically numbers them for you. And it just so happens there's 24 tracks. That's convenient. However, I am going to still collapse it down a little bit because I want to be able to get that click in there to hear somewhere, and I also want to have a couple channels reserved for effects that I'll do in the box, maybe send some extra delays, detune, things like that, and then I'll bring those into 2 channels on the board. So I want to get it down to 22 channels. So let's keep the kick on its own track for sure. Snare, top and bottom is fine. Toms, overhead. Maybe I'll combine the hi-hat, shaker, and tambourine into stereo percussion, but that only buys me 1 track. More likely I could collapse all these guitars into a stereo 2 tracks, and that allows me to do some more processing with plugins and things like that, like widening that bus. I want to have the acoustic guitar on its own tracks and probably the solo on its own tracks. So I think that's probably the best bet. I can take those guitars, put them to a stereo bus, and bring those up in on 2 tracks on the board. That way I save myself 2 tracks, which is basically what I need. So basically gonna select these and send them all to a bus. There we go. So that's shift option. Okay, so now those are all going to this, and I'm going to rename that guitar bus. I'll just call it guitars. And then I'm going to add a track, Command Shift N, and I want a auxiliary input, and I want it stereo. So I'm holding down Command, and up and down changes the input type or the track type, and left and right changes the number of channels. So you can do all that without the mouse. So I'm going up through channel 12 on the board with the bass, so I'll put this out to 13, 14. And now I can take these and start at 15 with the same trick before, selecting the tracks I want to update, holding down Shift Option Command, and it now updated them 15 through 22. Okay, so now we're fairly organized. I'm going to save. I'm going to switch back to the edit view. And now
I didn't want to fall.
I'm also going to come over here to the SSL AWS 900 application where I can update my channels so that instead of having to scribble them on the scribble strips, it'll actually set the names in here. I wish it would just pick it up from ProTools, but it's not quite that sophisticated. So this is one of the reasons I like short names. But basically, I'm putting the channel names so they show up on the board. This is going to be my effects return left and effects return right for in the box effects. And name the project. And we'll save this in with the session. So now I can see all the tracks named on the board, and when I play back now, I know what I'm grabbing favors. So balance out those acoustics. We'll start with them a little left and right. Turn off the effects.